Hey YouTube, this is the first video in a series I'm going to try to be doing about the Magic the Gathering's EDH or Commander format. I want to point out some of the staples for people that are new to the format or new to Magic, or people that are just looking for cards that they might want to throw into their decks because they're looking for one or two more. Like I said, these are going to be staples, something that you're going to want into any deck of a certain color. However, first off, I'm going to go through, this video is going to be artifacts only. It's just going to be a bunch of artifacts that can be fit into pretty much any deck, with a few minor exceptions. And these are just a personal idea of that these cards should be in your deck. It's just my personal opinion. It's not anything official. It's not anything that you have to put into your deck because Magic said so. But if you're more interested in learning about the EDH or Commander format, you can go to wizardsofthecoast.com or magicthegathering.com and look up EDH Commander rulings and stuff. Basically, you can only have one of each of these in your deck. Only basic lands are the only ones that get the ability to have more than one. I'm going to try to keep this video short, so let's just go and start in. With mana ramping, there's Soul Ring. It's probably the best, most efficient one-turn draw in the game. It costs one colorless, it taps for 2 colorless mana, so it's very efficient. You get a +1, you net 1 out of it. Mana Vault, it costs 1 as well, but it taps for 3, but it doesn't untap during your untap phase. Unfortunately, you have to pay 4 colorless during your untap phase in order to untap it, or else it deals 1 damage to you. But quite frankly, tapping for that 3 and getting something out a turn early is definitely worth the 1 damage. This works really great with Voltaic Key because you can pay 1 with Voltaic Key and untap it and then tap it again to get a net value of 5, which is really good. So Thrawn Dynamo taps for 3 colorless mana, costs 4 to play, so you're actually losing 1 on that turn, but it's definitely worth throwing into any deck. Gilded Lotus, anything with Lotus on its name is usually really good. Now this you can't use in every EDH deck because if you're playing with Karn or a colorless general, it doesn't tap for anything, but it taps for any mana of any one color. It taps for 3 of any one color. It costs 5 to play, so you're losing 2 that turn, but it's definitely worth playing this. People are going to want to destroy this and get rid of it. So Extraplanar Lens, it costs 3 to play. When you play it, you exile a land that you control. Now, any land with that name taps for an additional land of its type that you went and tapped it for. Now, you would want to use this on a basic land. You wouldn't use it on any non-basic land because you don't have the ability to have more than 1 in your deck unless you're using like a Vesuva to copy or something. But basically, you have to be very careful with this because if your opponent is running the same lands that you are, then you might not want to go and give them a little bit ramping out of it too. It's very situational, but it's very, very good and very helpful. Sensei's Divining Top, it needs no real explanation. It costs 1 to play, pay 1 colorless. You can look at the top 3 cards of your library and you can put them back in any order, or if you tap it, you can draw a card and then put this card on top of your library. It's very good. It never gets destroyed because if it gets destroyed, then you just go and tap it and put it on top of your library. So it's very good. Mind's Eye is another card draw. Basically, it costs 5 to play, and it costs 1 to, whenever your opponent would draw a card, you can pay 1 colorless and draw a card yourself. If your opponent doesn't have an answer to this automatically with the destruction and you pass the turn, then you can use it automatically when they draw their card during their draw phase or any other draw that they do. And you just pay 1. So if you have the extra mana open, you can just start gaining some hand advantage out of it. So it's very good of an artifact for drawing. All these cards are good. I don't know why I keep saying it's good, because they are. Next is probably one of my favorite artifacts of all time. It actually was banned in Standard when it first came out, and I think it was emergency banned. So it's Memory Jar. This card costs 5 to play, and you tap it and you sacrifice it. That turn, basically, you set your hand aside. All players set their hands aside. All players draw 7 new cards, and then at the end of the turn, they discard those cards and get their original hands back. The thing that makes this card pretty broken is that your opponents cannot play out of turn. So it's like they draw 7, and unless they have an instant and mana open, they can't play anything from their hand. So you're basically milling them. And the fact that card says draw, a lot of other cards say if you draw a card, do something, or if you discard a card, so at the end of the turn when you discard them, do something as well. Like Megrum or Liliana's Crest, if your opponents are discarding 7 cards, they're taking 14 damage off of those. So, but this is very, very good of a card. Quite broken in standard, but it's not as broken in the EDH commander format. It's just not as powerful, but it's still a very powerful card nonetheless, and it should be in every deck. Naviriel's Disc costs 4 to play. Comes into play tapped. Pay 1 colorless, tap it, and destroy all artifacts, enchantments, and creatures in play. Not all colors run some sort of blow up the field effect, so this is a must in most decks. Namely, I think green would probably benefit from it the most. However, if you have like a Darksteel Forge out, all your artifacts are indestructible, then it doesn't destroy itself, so you can blow up the field every single turn without the worry of your opponent's playing anything. Plus, it causes your opponent to think. It's like if you get attacked, then you can just blow up the field at instant speed, and they might decide to attack somebody else and make good graces with you. So, then keeping your creatures alive, which is very important because your EDH general is usually something that's built around your deck. So you want to keep your EDH general out. I've got a few cards here that will actually try to keep them alive because there's so much removal in EDH. It's so hard to do, so especially in multiplayer games. So first off, we have Lightning Greaves. It costs 2 to play, and 0 to equip. It's an equipment, and it gives the creature haste and shroud. Unfortunately, you cannot target your creature after this, so make sure he's got everything on him that he needs before you equip it, unless you have another creature to equip to. Going along with that is Swiftfoot Boots. Costs 2 to play, 1 to equip. Basically, it gives hexproof and haste. This is the baby of the Lightning Greaves. Cost 1 to equip is actually very efficient to give it the hexproof, so you can target it, but your opponents can't. So it's quite worth putting in any EDH, because Lightning Greaves is worth putting in any EDH deck. Darksteel Plate. Basically, this costs 3 to play and 2 to equip. It's indestructible, and all the creatures that it's equipped to is indestructible. So it's a lot of fun to equip a World Slayer onto a creature and equip this onto it, and then just go and blow up the field every single turn. Everything lands except for this, anything that's indestructible, and World Slayer. So it's pretty good. The next is the Voltron set. It's the Cauldron set. This is the sword. It costs 4 to play and 4 to equip. It's got +5/+5 to the equipped creature, and whenever the equipped creature deals damage to a creature, remove that creature from the game. The thing I found out recently was that if the equipped creature is still alive when battle damage is dealt, then it gets removed, but if it dies to battle damage, it does not. It goes to the graveyard, so something to keep in mind. Then the Helm of Cauldron costs 3 to play and 2 to equip. Gives the equipped creature first strike, trample, and haste. And then it's got the other ability that if you control the helm, the sword, and the shield, you can pay 1 to put 4/4 Avatar Legend token into play, named Cauldron, and you can equip all those equipments to him. So if you get all 3 of these out, you're probably going to win the game. And then finally the shield, which is my favorite. It costs 4 to play, 4 to equip. All the equipments prior, the helm and the sword, are now indestructible. The shield is indestructible, and the equipped creature is indestructible. So basically it's a Darksteel Plate, except for it's a little bit more costly, but I would run this in any deck EDH deck, even if I didn't own the other 2 pieces, just for that equipment ability for the indestructible. These last 5 are kind of situational because it depends on what you're running, but quite good, I would say. Quitus Spike is an equipment card. It costs 3 to play and 3 to equip. It gives the equipped creature Death Touch, which is good, and when that equipped creature deals damage to a player, they lose half their life rounded up. So in EDH, when you start off with 40 life, 20 life with 1 swing is really, really good, especially for people that gain a lot of life. It really minimizes how many turns they have because of that, so it's definitely worth putting in. Then Isochron Scepter costs 2 to play, and when it comes into play, you imprint it by exiling an instant card from your hand. The instant card is imprinted onto this. You pay 2 colorless and tap it, and you can cast that instant without paying. You could make a copy of the instant. It's incounterable, I believe, because you copy it, and you can basically use it every turn. So you get that counter spell every turn, or the best one I think is Orm's Chant. It allows your opponent to not attack if you pay the kicker, and they can't play spells this turn. So during their upkeep, you tap it, they can't do anything about it unless they've got some sort of disenchant or an instant spell. Relic of Progenitus cost 1 to play. Tap it, target player exiles a card from their graveyard, or you can pay 1 and sacrifice it, exile all graveyards from the game, and then draw a card. So it replaces itself, which is great for 1. However, there's a lot of recursion in EDH from the graveyard. A lot of people play from their graveyard. This is basically a solid answer to it. Other answers would be land types, like there's Bajuka Bog, which is really good, but it produces black, so you can't put that in every deck. This one's very, very good and a very good option. Expedition Map. Cost 1 to play, 2 to activate. You tap it and you sacrifice it, and then you search your library for a land card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. It doesn't put it into play, but search effects in EDH are very few and far between, and they're very, very good. This is one of the only cards that lets you search for a land, not just a basic land, like Land Tax or something. Weathered Wayfarer is a white card that lets you search for a land. It's very good. This will let you search for any land that might produce 2 or 3, something that you need that turn, that's going to really help you get something back, or just help you out in general. So, and then the final card, which is one of my favorites, is Claws of Gix. It costs 0 to play, and activate, pay 1 colorless, sacrifice any permanent, gain 1 life. The ability to sacrifice any permanent at instant speed is just amazing to me. I think it's underrated. Basically, if your opponent tries to target something of yours, you just sacrifice it in response. Just gain a life out of it. If they try to mind control, then you can sacrifice it so they don't get to take your creature. And even in that new Zedru deck that came out this year from Magic, the Wizards of the Coast commander decks, his ability gives your opponent stuff, so he gains life and draws cards. Well, anything they give you, you can just go and sacrifice stuff, you know, at the whim. And if you're playing control Magic and you gain control of something and then they try to gain it back, you just sacrifice it. So the ability to sacrifice is very powerful, and I think it's underrated, quite frankly. And being able to do it in any color other than black is kind of rare too. So anyways, those are my picks for top EDH artifacts that should be in every EDH deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm hoping to do more, perhaps some on all of the colors of Magic, and probably lands would be the next one I would do. I hope you guys go and post below. If you have any questions or comments, positive criticism, please feel free. Just go and leave it below. And if you have any questions, I'll go and try to get back to you guys as soon as I can. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have a good time playing Magic.